Good evening, I'm Prasad Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. Today we enter the third phase of the Movement Control Order with news that may excite school students. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced the Education Ministry to cancel the Ujian Penilaian Sekolah Rendah UPSR and Pentaksiran Tingkatan 3 PT3 for this year. However, Education Minister Mohammad Razzie Jiden said the cancellations would not mean that the students will be held back, as there are other ways to evaluate their performance in school.
Pembatalan UPSR tidak akan menjejaskan penilaian terhadap tahap penguasaan murid setelah mengikuti pendidikan peringkat rendah kerana penilaian boleh dilakukan dengan pelbagai kaedah lain. Memandangkan keputusan UPSR dijadikan satu daripada kriteria pemilihan untuk kemasukan ke Sekolah Berasrama Penuh SBP, Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Agama SMKA, Maktab Rendah Sains Marak MRSM dan Maktab Tentera Diraja MTD, KPM akan memperkenalkan kaedah baharu bagi tujuan ini yang tidak hanya tertumpu kepada prestasi akademik semata-mata.
A similar grading method will be introduced for PT3 students. Meanwhile, the ministry also announced that all other secondary school examinations will be postponed to next year. The Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia (SPM), Sijil Vocational Malaysia (SVM), and Sijil Tinggi Agama Malaysia (STAM) will be postponed to the first quarter of 2021. Meanwhile, for Sijil Tinggi Persekolahan Malaysia (STPM) candidates, their second semester examination is postponed to August 2020, while the third semester examination is postponed to the first quarter of 2021. Malaysia continues to show positive signs of overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic, with more people having recovered than those still being treated. Malaysia has reported the lowest number of new COVID-19 cases in a day since the Movement Control Order began, with 85 new infections. Health Ministry Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah also announced 169 recoveries. This puts the number of those who have recovered at 2,647, higher than the number of patients still being treated for COVID-19, which is at 2,342. Meanwhile, one new death was reported, bringing the death toll to 83.
So if the number goes down, then infectivity will be less. So the infectivity will be less, then the local transmission also will be less. So this is why our policy in this country is you are positive, we will come and get you, whether you are asymptomatic or not. So in other countries, maybe asymptomatic positive, they advised to be at home. But here we monitor them in our hospital.
For 4 whole weeks, Malaysians have been told to stay at home. A vast majority have been complying with the Movement Control Order. However, there are still a few who don't seem to get it.
The authorities arrested 612 people yesterday for defying the ongoing Movement Control Order, with 337 having since been charged in court. According to Defence Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob, of the 612 people, 590 were remanded while 15 were subsequently released by the police.
Jumlah tangkapan kumulatif engkar PKP sehingga 14 April, iaitu semalam, adalah seramai 9,702 individu.
The police set up 799 roadblocks nationwide yesterday and checked over 500,000 vehicles. The minister added that 59,690 spot checks were conducted nationwide. Meanwhile, according to Bukit Aman CID Director Huzair Mohammed, a total of 5,835 people were charged for violating the MCO from March 18 to April 14.
So PDRM tidak akan teragak-agak untuk mengambil tindakan yang lebih tegas dengan menangkap dan menuduh semua pesalah PKP ke mahkamah. Ini bagi memastikan penularan wabak COVID-19 ini dapat dihentikan secepat mungkin.
Yesterday, Ismail stressed that those who are caught violating the MCO in Phase 3 will be detained for legal action instead of having a compound notice issued against them. The third phase of MCO, which began today, is expected to be lifted on April 28.
A viral story from Kuala Lumpur has turned into a tragedy. It began as a heartwarming tale of police officers in Kuala Lumpur helping a senior citizen they found on the roadside about 1 kilometer from his house. They took him home and brought him some groceries. However, the story has taken the most tragic turn after the 74-year-old was found dead 1 day after he was helped by the officers. According to Kuala Lumpur's police chief Muhammad Razis Muhammad Wahi, the body of the senior citizen was found at 11 a.m. on Tuesday when a police officer went to check on him. Before that, Razis said he and a few of his fellow officers found the man on the roadside on Monday, 1 kilometer away from his house. A social media posting of the incident, which has gone viral, showed images of police officers speaking and helping an old, frail-looking man sitting underneath a tree by the side of the road. Videos showed officers helping to lift the man, putting on his slippers and driving him home to a run-down shed in a durian farm and carrying him inside. It was alleged that police were informed of the man's predicament by a motorcycle workshop owner, Sheikh Amirul Shafiq, who sought to get the man help. The senior citizen was alleged to have not eaten for several days. According to Razis, he sent his men to check on the victim, as they were hoping to refer him to the welfare department or other NGOs who could channel aid to him. When the man failed to answer the door, police broke it down to enter and unfortunately found him deceased. With all MCA violators to be brought to court to face potential jail time, this poses an issue for the already crowded prison system, but the government has found a solution. The government announced that all movement control order violators would no longer be issued a statement, but will instead be charged in court. This means first-time offenders could face jail time up to 2 years. But with Malaysian prisons already vastly overcrowded, how will the Prisons Department prepare for the potential influx of prisoners? The department is now looking at whether it could turn other buildings that are available and suitable to be used as detention facilities. The buildings could be turned into temporary prisons to house the new convicts.
Penjara akan terlalu sesak dan pastinya penjarakan sosial tidak dapat dilaksanakan. Oleh itu, mesyuarat semalam sebenarnya telah membuat keputusan, iaitu supaya Kementerian Dalam Negeri mewartakan 13 akademik penjara sebagai pusat tahanan yang baru untuk pesalah-pesalah yang engkar PKP dan yang berkaitan dengannya.
According to sources, the idea is viable in the case of MCO violators, as they are considered low-risk convicts. There are currently 73,000 prisoners being housed in 50 prison facilities nationwide that were only meant to hold 52,000 inmates. A huge chunk of money linked to 1MDB recovered by the US Justice Department has been returned to Malaysia.
Another $300 million of recovered 1MDB funds have been returned by the United States Department of Justice DOJ to Malaysia. According to Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin, this brings the total funds repatriated to Malaysia to $620 million or 2.69 billion ringgit as part of DOJ's kleptocracy asset recovery initiatives. This comes after Malaysian fugitive Joe Low and his family reached a historic deal with the DOJ last October, involving up to $700 million or 3 billion ringgit of 1MDB-linked funds. The deal was linked to numerous forfeiture claims filed by the DOJ against assets Low had purchased, allegedly using money siphoned from the Malaysian Sovereign Wealth Fund. Muhyiddin, in a statement today, explained the $300 million represented some of those assets which had been forfeited and later sold, as well as assets forfeited by individuals linked to Joe Low. Together with prior forfeiture cases, the DOJ said it had recovered more than $1 billion in assets associated with 1MDB. Some of those funds have already been returned to Malaysia, though Reuters reported last month that the United States had delayed the return of the latest installment. The funds were originally scheduled to be returned in February but were delayed first due to technical issues and then because of uncertainty over political upheaval in Malaysia.
Coming up next, the US looks to halt funding to the WHO. And India continues the world's biggest lockdown. All that and more after this. As the world fights the spread of COVID-19, the US president is going after the WHO. US President Donald Trump said he would halt funding to the World Health Organization over its handling of the coronavirus pandemic while his administration reviews its response to the global crisis.
Today I'm instructing my administration to halt funding of the World Health Organization while a review is conducted to assess the World Health Organization's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus.
Trump told a White House news conference that the WHO had failed in its basic duty and it must be held accountable. He said the group had promoted China's disinformation about the virus that likely led to a wider outbreak of the virus than otherwise would have occurred.
Had the WHO done its job to get medical experts into China to objectively assess the situation on the ground and to call out China's lack of transparency, the outbreak could have been contained at its source with very little death, and certainly very little death by comparison.
The United States is the biggest overall donor of the Geneva-based WHO, contributing more than $400 million in 2019, roughly 15% of its budget. The hold on funding was expected. Trump has been increasingly critical of the organization as the global health crisis continued. He has reacted angrily to criticism of his administration's response. Trump went ahead with this announcement, which drew immediate condemnation despite significant pushback within his administration, especially from top health advisors, a U.S. official told Reuters. The World Health Organization is a UN specialized agency, an independent international body that works with the United Nations. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on Tuesday it was not the time to reduce resources for the body. In India, more than 1 billion people will continue to cope with restrictions.
India is hosting the world's largest coronavirus lockdown, and that's now being extended until May 3. Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced Tuesday more than 1 billion people will face limits for at least a few more weeks.
जो अपने यहाँ हॉटस्पॉट नहीं बढ़ने देंगे और जिनके हॉटस्पॉट्स में बदलने की आशंका भी कम होगी.
As Modi spoke, the number of people infected with coronavirus reached over 10,000. But health experts fear the number is much higher due to low testing. And the lockdown has already thrown India's poorest into a state of desperation. Migrant Karan Kuman chose to stay in a cramped dormitory with other labourers waiting for his wages and documents. The $4 a day he was earning fed his 5 children, wife and ageing parents. And now he's in employment limbo. Karan's contractor is holding on to his paperwork until their construction site reopens. The prospect of dying from hunger or the virus is a stark reality that many face. Although India's relief package promises some free food for roughly 800 million people, economists and activists say few of those in need are registered with the Federal Food Welfare Scheme or have the paperwork needed to secure benefits. They fear the lockdown may push many more people into poverty, with a $3 trillion economy put on ice.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Rizal Michael. Thank you for watching.